Eh. Hey everybody! Sorry if that kind of messed up a bit. I was a little late on the countdown. I clicked live and then it took me a couple seconds to find the countdown thing. So that kind of messed up. I'm getting used to the countdown timer thing. I think it's cool. So I'm gonna use it from now on. But I'm still getting used to it. So, I'm Nikki. I'm a writer. I'm writing a trilogy. I write fanfiction. All my links to all my social media are down below and in my channel. And I have a guest. Oh, introduction. Sako.
Howdy howlers! I'm Sako Tumi, also known as Castboy, also half of the duo that is Victoria Von Rock. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those three things. So if you are looking to market yourself as an author, or you're looking to be a witchy or witch, please drop by my channel. I would love to see you.
Cool. Oop, and I just realized Carol Brown is going live on her channel.
Yep, this is her slot.
Yeah. So, everybody, I figured that this stream we could talk about
Tarot
cards.
Woo.
And you want to, and Sako, you want to know something kind of funny?
What's that?
Hello. This is the card that I keep getting.
That is not a terrible thing.
And it's been this direction too.
That is good. That is a good thing. Means that you know what you're doing.
Ah, okay.
That you have the skill set. You can juggle all those balls.
I'm not sure what questions to ask because I'm such a newbie at all this. I know a couple of decks, like spreads. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of spreads, and I kind of understand them, but I'm still, like I said, still in like a newbie at it, and still.
It's easier to start with like single card pulls or 3-card readings.
Okay.
Just to get to know the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As you know, there are four suits.
Mm-hmm.
Just like a playing deck. There would be the pentacles, which would be your diamonds. There would be the wands, which would be your clubs. The swords, which would be your spades. And the hearts are the cups. And then you've got another 21 cards that act as the major arcana. And what the major arcana do is those are forces that are outside of your control. So meaning that you keep getting the magician in your single card pulls. That is a good sign that the universe recognizes that you have your shit together.
That's really cool. Because from what I thought, it said a little booklet thingy. Where'd it go? So skill, diplomacy, address, sickness, pain, loss.
Oh,
Is
that's
that-
if it's reversed.
Huh?
That's if it, so if there is there are two ways to throw the cards. One way is that all of the cards are upright no matter what.
Mhm.
So you don't recognize when they're upside down or anything like that. And then the second way would be to throw reversed.
The reversed one.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it's. Hold on. I keep doing that. That's how they have it. They give you
Yeah.
that, and then they give on the bottom the reversed.
Right.
For the
I don't know. I never associated the magician with pain. So that's interesting.
So that's why I was like, oh, that's weird. This is odd. Because
I can read the some of the other booklets that I've got to see. The magician. The magician appears in a reading at an important time. Now is the moment when you have the power and the ability to create a new life for yourself. You are now fully able to manifest your desires. You are a powerful force in the world, and you must use your power or let it languish. This card calls for intense concentration. You need to channel all of your resources towards your goal and not get distracted by different pursuits. There is a power in your dedication and your focus. This is my nice deck. Cool. Nice in that they are gentle with their words.
Do they have like the meanings on the card?
Mm-mm.
Because I heard that there are some decks where it has like the picture, and then on the very bottom it tells you what the card is.
There are some that do that. Yes, absolutely. I have never needed one. I learned on the Morgan Greer deck, which was really popular in the 70s. Which was a particularly dark deck, I think, because I technically stole it from my mother, who was like, I guess I'm giving it to you because now the cards are mad at me. The way I throw, if I'm throwing online, let's say I'm doing free tarot readings and there's like a queue of people that want their cards read, I'll pull a single card for self-care, or I'll pull 3 cards for the nice deck. I have one deck that is kind of blunt that I've been throwing for 20 years, and then the Robin Wood deck. And then I've got the deck that I designed, which is a shadow deck, which basically means they will club you over the head with bad news and basically tell you what you need to do to get out of it. So each deck has its own personality.
That's cool.
If they don't have their own personality, then it's just an art piece, basically. I've got to have like 30 decks, maybe, but I only throw 4 of them.
And throwing means?
Throwing means to throw cards, basically means to do a spread, to cast.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
You're just picking a deck and then you're picking a deck, picking a spread from the deck and picking the cards from that deck.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. That's cool. Jeez, I don't know.
Where do we go from here?
Right? Exactly, I don't know what to do.
Would you like a reading?
Sure. Carol did. Carol Brown did one for me
Oh, that's welcome.
on Instagram. She posted. Yeah, she posted it on Instagram for me. Insta messaged me.
Oh,
Yeah, well,
ooh. Nice. Interesting. The 6, yes, 6 of coins.
hey Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
I sent you a link. If you want to come join us on camera.
The scales are not very even. If you have been generous, you won't benefit from it. On the other hand, you might have been taking advantage of someone, and such a deed will not reap rewards either. Financial or otherwise, there is a pronounced power difference being represented, which is worth investigating. Queen of Swords. A veiled queen sits beside a Sars crane in deep contemplation. The Queen of Swords is the embodiment of intellect and truth. Her eyes are closed, indicating that her power derives from the inward focus. However, an open eye hovers above her palm, symbolizing her ability to see through all lies and illusions. The Queen of Swords is mature, wise, and compassionate, but never lets emotions cloud her judgment. If the Queen appears in a reading, it may be an opportunity to use hard logic to seek out the truth. And you may have had setbacks working toward a goal, or you may be feeling isolated or depressed. Remember that when a garden isn't thriving, it's because some vital key to its growth is missing. Make an extra effort to look for those things which bring you joy.
Oh.
So it sounds like there are maybe someone is taking advantage of you, but maybe you can recognize that that's a thing. And you are, but maybe things weren't, maybe like you had this goal and then you met the goal and then you're like, well, this didn't bring me as much joy as I thought it would. Right?
Maybe it's my nano goal. My nano goal. Like
Yeah, maybe.
I've been reaching it up until just recently. Like I have. Let's see my word count. I have 28,451, and I by today I should have gotten 31. 33,340 today. So I'm like way behind.
I'm still at 15. Or 15, something like that. So I'm going to go into this shadow work a little bit.
Oh. Charlie says, I really need to get feeling better before streaming tonight. This is ridiculous. I hope it will be all better soon. Oh, and I forgot to comment. Nope. I'm not feeling good today. I'm having some water and having some water and hoping my sinus medication does something. If it kicks in, I'll be there. Cool.
You may be feeling like your life is spinning further and further out of control. If you want to regain your autonomy, then it is vital that you tap into the part of your ego that is assertive and self-confident. Alternatively, you may be overreaching in an attempt to control every aspect of your life. Perhaps it is time to loosen up on the reins and accept that some things are beyond your power to change.
That does make sense, especially with the stupid pandemic.
Indeed. The reverse Two of Wands suggests that you've been staying in a cage. It may be cozy and comforting with the familiar parameters of your everyday life, but your energy is blocked and will not be freed up unless you are willing to take some risks. Which is funny because the Chariot is all about taking risks.
Maybe that just means I just gotta write and just stop worrying about my stupid word count. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Concentrate on story and just enjoying the story as opposed to like I've been counting by scene basically. Like I feel better when I end a scene than when I reach a word count. Hi, Katarina. Katarina. I keep wanting to put an eh in front of it.
Cool. Hello. I haven't seen you on my stream, I don't think. So, welcome.
She's a dear friend.
Thank you for joining us. Hi. I found it.
Yay!
Cool. We're talking about tarot cards. I wanted to make a stream learning about tarot cards, but I really don't know what questions to ask. So we're kind of just going with whatever, I guess.
So usually when you ask the cards a question, you don't ask a yes or no question.
You don't? Because I've been hearing that you do.
With tarot decks, you ask more of the whys, the hows, sometimes even the whens. Hi, Jotterbug. How's it going?
Cool.
Cuckoo. So I'm gonna pull. This is a hefty deck, so single card pulls are enough. Ooh, Judgment.
And we have a Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
I figured this would be a good test to see if I need to cancel mine tonight.
It's a good test.
Oh.
Plagued with doubt, you are constantly replaying uncomfortable situations over and over again in your head.
From my pain with the finger.
Release yourself from your insecurities and figure out what is really bothering you. Your schedule is packed to the brim, which leaves no time to reflect on the past to make beneficial changes toward your future. Allow yourself the space to ask your inner voice if what you are doing is feeding your soul. You may also be surrounded by a lot of strong opinions, and other people's judgments might be weighing in on you. People will always have their opinions, but don't be swayed by the crowd. Check in, take a moment to be still with your thoughts, and listen to what you really think amid the noise. The clarity of your inner voice will cut through all the noise when you give yourself some time.
building off what Sako was saying, don't cards are not good for yes nos.
Yeah, cards are not good for yes and no.
If you have a yes no, flip a coin.
Flip a coin, get a pendulum.
Yeah. So,
But that just goes for divination in general. Like a lot of divination is like hows, whys, whens.
Ooh, 2 good questions came in.
How to pick your deck.
How to pick your deck.
So I come from a school where your first deck is given to you. So you technically don't pick your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes the deck will pick you. If you are buying one for yourself, which in this age you absolutely can, figure out which one you should buy, one that you like the art for. Absolutely. You should also do some homework as to who made that deck and why they made it and what the deck was intentioned for. And then I can kind of like feel a connection with a deck. So you know when you're walking by something, you're like that thing is perfect. I should own that thing. Absolutely. So oftentimes I go into like a magic shop or something, or an occult shop rather, and they have tarot decks, and like I'll be looking at a whole bunch of decks that I've never seen before, and none of them call to me, so I don't. One has to call to you, right?
It's like that feeling when you go through all of them, and then you go back to one, and then you're like, okay, hold on, let me see all the other ones. There's more over here. Let me see those. Okay, but it still feels like I'm over here with this deck.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying that you should kind of go with that one, the one that keeps
popping out at you.
Yeah.
I will say, if you're really wanting to learn tarot and you don't feel a strong call to any particular deck, get a classic one. Get one like the Tarot of Marseille or something like that has very traditional imagery, because that imagery is generally repeated in different forms on the other cards. That has kind of become archetypal to help in the way the artwork is done on a lot of other cards, and it will give you something to start learning meanings and correspondences on. But you probably will never have a fully meaningful reading with that deck. That's you need to understand that's going to be your like learner starter deck. But until you find something that you actually connect to, because that could take some time until you figure out exactly what tradition you are coming from or exactly what you want from tarot. And so there are a lot of like basic decks, like a Rider-Waite deck, which is based on a lot of the Tarot of Marseille and the older decks. And Rider-Waites are pretty much everywhere. Like, those are the easiest ones to find. Those are really good to learn on. I know some people that really have a strong connection to those, and that's wonderful. Don't think that it has to be one of the fancy, pretty, amazing new decks for it to actually matter to you. Whatever speaks to you, speaks to you. The deck that I use is an angel deck that all of the cards are based, all of the major arcana are angels and spirits of the Judeo-Christian tradition, and the cards themselves are quite simple in that they are just, this is five. That would be a five of clubs, because this goes off the very old school way of doing the cards. So we also have like the two of spades here. They're very simple cards. These cards really speak to me and the tradition that I'm on, And so while I do have decks that have really, really pretty artwork that I like, and I have almost for aesthetic purposes, just remember it's what speaks to you, what has meaning to you
Mm-hmm.
matters most.
Exactly.
I would also say if you can't find a tarot deck that means something to you, the tradition that I practice, we use oracle cards for daily meditation. And in our tradition, we're actually encouraged to make our own decks. So
Mhm.
this is my deck that I made with temporary art that I'm hoping to actually make prettier over time. But this is the oracle deck that I made that is simply meant for meditation. There's a daily reading that we do at least once a day using these cards to get in touch with ourselves, to get in touch with spirit, to get in touch with the cosmos and the powers flowing through us. And learning to do that will really improve your ability to read tarot, because tarot is part memorization, because yes, the cards do have meaning, but it's also a really big part of it is intuition.
Intuition.
Because sometimes you'll notice that, well, that's contradictory. Which of those two meanings is the right one? Or those are nuanced and a little bit different when you're looking at the meanings, and people get confused when they read the meanings. That's where intuition kicks in. So until you've developed that intuition, it can be difficult to read tarot. So I highly recommend, if you can find, if nothing else, find yourself an oracle, a set of oracle cards that mean something to you, or make your own.
Yeah.
Just to start connecting to yourself and to those little energies that you're wanting to connect with in tarot. That will really help you out.
Cool.
I think the question of what do you want out of tarot is really poignant.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking for life advice, you should probably look to like a professional, like doctor or psychologist or life coach or something like that. All the cards do is open a conversation with yourself, right? Or with the person who is getting the reading.
My teacher who taught me how to read tarot always said that tarot gives us insight in life because each card represents one of the aspects of life, and virtually everything that could happen in your life is covered by one of the cards. Life is chaotic. We shuffle the cards to add chaos to the cards. By pulling life events out of chaos, we are mimicking how life works. And that's why we see our reflection in the card. And I really like that. That's mental to me. One, because when life feels like chaos, I just go, oh yeah, that's the way it is. And sometimes I find it actually just calming to just shuffle the deck as just like a meditation of life has a lot of chaos in it. Things shuffle around, things move. But in the end, we'll get where we want to go if we push hard and try. But there's a lot of interesting things you can learn from the cards, but they're no substitute for a McGee or a teacher or something of that nature. So if that's what you're looking for, yeah, you're not going to find those that books.
Sorry, I got a little tiny bit distracted just now. Our friend / aide Christy just left, so she was saying goodbye. I was like, oh bye. And then she just forgot her tablet thing. So I was like, oh, what's that tablet? And I got to talk about that. Sorry.
So, Katarina asked if one could pull a card to see if she's right on the right track with her story. And what I'm
that is a good question. I want to know about too.
So basically, it is time to pull away from others and clear your head. You may be feeling disappointed in your efforts with a relationship or a project. Meditation will help you decide whether to push forward or to move on. Remember, everything is a learning experience.
Okay, this is the magic of tarot, because as Sako is reading, and the card that she pulled to answer this question, I pulled mine, and I pulled the card of the Archangel Uriel, who is the guiding light who stands before us. He is the one that helps us find our way when we feel lost. He is the one that shows us the path through darkness and what is the right way. He does not provide answers. He only illuminates the path. We still have to find the steps to walk it. And I'm like looking at the card, listening to Sako talk, going, hey, we may have picked different cards, but we picked cards with basically the same meaning.
Basically.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And this is one of the things is beautiful and powerful about like tarot and various forms of divination, is that there is a in my tradition we refer to it as the new sphere. There is a kind of collective consciousness of the world that we both draw from and give to unconsciously throughout our day and throughout our life. And that's what we're connecting to when we're doing something like tarot, when we're doing something like scrying, even when we're doing certain meditation practices. That's what we're connecting to. And that's basically what just happened between Sako and I. We both connected, and even over distance, pulled the same answer for you.
And I know that was for her, but that felt like it was for me too. Because I'm feeling stuck as crap right now. That's why I don't have my goal because today is the 20th. Today I was supposed to get 33,340 words. My word count is at 28,451.
So fair. Well, let me see what I can. What?
I think the answer is
Ooh,
you to walk away from it for a minute, kind of clear your head, take a break from it, and then come back to it and decide whether or not it's worth continuing or if you might have new ideas about it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Because I was on my story and I'm like, I liked your idea, Charlie, of having like having the Aswan witch come to like kind of be a distraction. Have Zarina the witch be excuse me, bring them or bring it to the academy and start something to like distract someone, and maybe that could be like I could have that do that, and then while that's happening, more people are being drawn out, and the mark put back on that, or the mark put on them. So maybe that's the cool thing to do. And then I was like, how do I get them this one to go away? So that way I can move on from that to the next chapter. I was like, how do I scare this off? This one Aswan witch off. And then I looked it up, or I don't know, you said it or somebody else said it, or I looked it up, I forgot. It said something about copper, something about a copper stake.
Mm-hmm.
Putting a copper stake in front of them, and that gets them to back off the people that they're trying to attack. And maybe that scares them off or something. And maybe like the holy water doesn't go on them and it doesn't kill them, it just scares them or something. I don't know. So that's what I'm stuck on.
I'll answer the question on the screen in just a minute, but you asked for a card, so I pulled one for you. This is Manu. This is the Angel of Fate. In most other decks, this is the Wheel of Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
In relationship to this deck, this is realizing the nature of where you are, because you asked about your project and all of the stress that you're having with it. And when I see Manu show up, To me, this is that point where you have to realize what is fated and what is not fated, what is done and what is not done. Because again, from my tradition, fate is everything that has already happened, because you can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
If it has happened, it was fate. And everything from that point forward is possibility. So if you think you can buckle down and get to where you're wanting to go, then that is the path that you should follow forward. That is the thing that you should do. But realize that all you're doing is increasing your own stress if you're giving yourself a goal that you cannot attain, because you need to look at all of your prior experiences. That to me is really what I see when I see fate get brought up. Look at your prior experiences. They will tell you what you're capable of doing and what it is possible for you to do moving forward. And that doesn't mean that we can't grow or we can't change. It's just you have to moderate your expectations. Yeah, I would love to be able to like get up and walk around for like 8 hours straight, because that would be amazing. But I have a bad back and I have bad knees. And I know that like if I can get to like 20 minutes, that's amazing for me, right? That doesn't mean I don't push harder, because I have been, because I was at a point where I could only do that for like 5 minutes at a time. It doesn't mean that you don't push harder. It's just you keep in mind what your fate has been, what you have been capable of doing, so that you're not disappointing yourself when you're not reaching an unrealistic goal. So that's the kind of stuff that I think of when Manu shows up for me. I don't know if that helps you or not, but you asked for a card. And I know I see you're eating, so if I'm filibustering, just speak up, Sako.
No problem.
I don't want to filibuster. Okay, so the difference between tarot and oracle cards. Tarot is a specific series of cards that developed in the late Middle Ages, early Renaissance, where the cards were eventually standardized into the 22 cards of the major arcana, and that's all I'm going to say about that. The other cards were not as standardized and do change from country to country depending on tradition. You may see these swords, pentacles, cups, and wands like you see in a lot of British tarot decks that became very common in that tradition. You will also in Germany see a lot of, acorns, leaves. I can't remember the other two, but so the suits change. The deck that I use actually uses the same suits as a traditional set of playing cards. So this is hearts, which corresponds to wands in a more traditional Western deck. And these are more common in, say, Italian and Southern France, where you'd see that. So, but still the meanings have kind of been standardized over time. If you actually go back and look, there were a lot of arguments over what the major arcana would be, what they should mean, what order they should be in. There's still a debate today whether the Fool is card 0 or, well, is it at the beginning or the end? Is it card 0 or card 22? Which side of the major arcana does it show up on? That's still in debate today, and that's still in flux. And that doesn't matter depending on your tradition, or it does matter depending on your tradition, but they're a set of cards. Oracle cards are meditative cards that are from a specific tradition or idea. So I'm a practitioner of creation spirituality, and so all of our imagery comes from Judeo-Christian and Kabbalistic sources. So these are the images that matter to me. So this is the card of the transfiguration on the path of silence, where you have to learn to let go. This is the change of letting go. And so you see the fire bursting out between the union of opposites on this card, because that's how I interpret that meaning. This, for example, is you can see on the bottom, this is baptism. which is a word people are used to, but this is on the path of creativity. In other words, what you bring into the world. So you can see for me, this is a heart growing the tree of life into the world, because to me, art is us actually bringing the energies of life into the world. And so that's the image that I put on this card for that meaning. Oracle cards are primarily there for meditation purposes. These cards have specific layouts that are used when you're meditating on them. For example, this is resurrection on the path of silence and death.
Whoops.
I know that could be a thing.
Hold up.
So
Oh.
as you
I'm
can
gonna
see,
use
I
the
did
layout. Sorry, guys.
the Chai, which is Hebrew and means life. Inside, if you actually look, this is the heart chakra, but the heart chakra is fading. Or is it coming back to life? See, depending on your perspective and the way that you're looking at the card, it changes how you see it. And so every morning I pull out my deck, I put out the spread in front of me, and I see what it is that I need to meditate on for that day. And that's what they're for. That is the primary purpose of oracle cards. Is we use them to connect to ourselves, to spirit, to our tradition, to the various states and stages that exist within us, to learn more about ourselves and what we're doing. Tarot is intended for more advice. These cards do not give advice. Some oracle cards are designed to do that.
There are oracle decks that can give advice, sure, but usually, like Charlie says, it's really more about looking inward for your answers.
Cool.
I forgot who originally said it, but it it's the quote that's so ubiquitous. Like amongst the people that I work with, I can't remember where it originally came from, but all the heavens are within you, all of the hells, all of the angels, all of the demons, and it is up to you what you bring forth. And that's what, especially like the cards in the oracle cards in my tradition are for, is learning about that internal turmoil, learning about that struggle within yourself, and finding a way to navigate through it, and understanding what's going on in your own mind. And I will say the cards, because they are things that mean a lot to me in my tradition, their meaning changes every time I pull a card. Because just to use the card that I showed a while ago, baptism. Everybody's heard that word and has an association with that, right? But depending on what's going on in my life, that could mean purification to me. That could mean coming back to life, being renewed. That could mean something completely different each time, depending on how I'm feeling.
Tarot works the same way. Everything is context. Sure, you can go ahead and you can memorize all the meanings and stuff like that, but depending on what the cards are that are surrounding it, it might change the meaning of the card.
And becoming really good at reading tarot is about learning to when to trust your intuition and when you're trying to read into the cards. When are you trying to basically pretend, oh, this means everything's going to be wonderful and exactly what I want it to be, and like create a self-fulfilling prophecy to cover up what you need to be thinking about. And when it's your actual actual intuition saying, oh, this is what the cards are meaning to tell me. And that's a hard thing to learn how to discern. And that's through trial and error. And especially when you start out, always take your readings with a grain of salt. But take it with like a couple tablespoons at first until you start learning when you're projecting onto the cards. Like, oh, look, it says I'm going to be a millionaire in 5 weeks. Yay! Might say that. Probably not. Learn when you're projecting and when you're actually connecting to your actual intentions, your own instincts.
Mm-hmm. Christina made it. Hello.
Hi, Christina. Mhm.
If I give you any insight, the thanks should go to Sako, not to me, because I never talked about this stuff publicly. It was Sako who gave me the courage and intention to start speaking more about these kinds of things. So don't thank me. Thank her for like.
I did that for a couple of people actually. Is can kind of encourage them that or inspire them to think that because I have normalized these things in my life, right? And I realize that many people, it is not a normal part of their lives. It is shunned by parts of their family, or there's some kind of stigma around cards as a whole, let alone cards in your possession.
Mhm.
So I come from a culture where they're cards. They're not a sign to the devil. They're not like a pact with some demon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really. It's like, oh no, you shouldn't have those. What? It's like, it
Mm.
doesn't mean it's always bad. It doesn't mean.
Vice versa. They're not exactly sacred either, right? There are people that are like, if a card falls on the floor, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. If you bend a card, that's terrible. Like, you don't let other people touch them. You cleanse them in very specific ways. They're pieces of cardboard, like of cardstock.
I would also like to just say that like we need to get back to what sacred really means. To me, this journal that I am holding in my hand right now is sacred. This is the journal that I am currently writing my path in. It is the journal that I am writing all of my meditations on what I should be doing, how I should be doing it. This is the journal that when I took my oaths the other night, because a part of um, that process was to actually write your own version of
Mm-hmm.
the oath. Like here's what you of how do you see your connection to the earth, and how do you feel that you should live that out. And so I had to write those out for myself. This is something that I deem as sacred. Does this mean that it is unholy and must be worshipped? No. This is a book. This is a journal that I bought for like $10 that has ink scribblings in it. It is sacred because this contains my path. This contains my insights. This is helping me follow what I am doing. The difference between sacred and profane is it part of your path, or is it part of your your outside life? And the tradition that I walk tries to blur that as much as possible. So I view my writing as sacred because creativity is a part of my spiritual path. The more creative I am, the more in touch I am to the spirit, to the actual presence of the divine. That is how we see creativity in my path. So I see all my writing as sacred. Yes, that includes my trashy vampires who do naughty things to themselves, because that's my creativity. That's how my spirit expresses itself. I don't think sacred necessarily means that it's something that you put up on a pedestal and that you hold like, oh, holy. There are hallowed things that you do that with that may be so important or significant to your path. For example, I have a thing right here that no one has ever seen. My husband hasn't even seen, because when he comes into the office, I slide it back because it represents my connection to my creativity. And it was made during meditation. It's a thing that I have that is mine. And it's not that if he sees it, oh, I'll never be able to write again. It's that my way of honoring that relationship I have with my creativity, that this is for me, not for others. And so, yeah, if I picked it up and showed it to you right now, oh, the world wouldn't end. You know what I'm saying? Like it will destroy the universe.
Yeah, it's a thing. However, what it signifies is something to respect.
Right. And so that to me is the difference between something that is sacred, something that is hallowed, because this was intended to be for me. And that's why no one sees it and it stays off in the corner. And it's something that I see and nobody else does. But that's because it's what it signifies, not the object itself, that I'm protecting there, if that makes sense to you. Because that to me is the difference in all of this. Because people get fixated on, oh, the book is sacred. This is paper. This is dead trees with ink scribblings on it. You know, it's no.
If the house were to go on, if the house were to break into flames, right? That's not the first thing that leaves the house.
And I'm saying this as somebody who has been a part of the Catholic tradition for a very long time. I actually have first-class relics in my house that were given to me by the church to guard and protect. My family gets out of the house. My pets get out of the house. Then if I can rescue those, I rescue those. Priorities, people. Priorities.
So in Buddhism, which I'm third generation, we have a shrine, right? And in the shrine is a copy of the Lotus Sutra as it was written by Nichiren Daishonin. And this is called the Gosho, or the Gohonzon. And the Gohonzon is hallowed, right? That is sacred. And if the house were to go into flames, if something were to happen to that piece of paper, I would have to commit seppuku. Now, would I ever actually do that? Probably not. Because let's be honest, it's a piece of paper. I'll probably grab my hard drive before I'll grab the cajon.
And you know, for a lot, and like you were saying, like, what does sacred mean? Like, what connects you to yourself? What connects you to your spirit? Like, I have a lot of like traditionally sacred artifacts in the house. Like, I will say that. But I also have a box that contains like all of like my family Bibles and my like great aunt's rosaries and stuff. And it's not wholly because they're Bibles and rosaries. It's that I remember using those with my great aunt. It's the memories. It's the family connections, right? They're in the box with the quilt that my grandmother made me. That's like not doing so well because it's really old. You know?
That becomes more about sentimentality.
Yeah.
And that becomes like a whole, that's its own other beast.
And I think people confuse the two in so many ways that those sentimental feelings get attached to, remember, at least for me, I don't want to speak for other people, all of the things that we have around us that have any spiritual meaning are there for representation, right? I call out my Ganeshas behind me because they actually mean something to me, but I don't believe that there's but I don't believe that there's an elephant-headed deity sitting behind me, right? This is a beautiful painting. This is a beautiful statue. That's all they are. And I think people get too confused in that. They take on the meaning that they take on is the connection I make through them, not to them. And that's the same kind of connection you need to be making with your cards if you're doing something. It's the connection to spirit, whether you see that as spirit outside or inside you. because what will really bake your noodles when you realize there's not that much difference between the two things.
Indeed.
At least at the beginning, it's a very meaningful distinction for people to make because it can help people get into everything. But it's the connection that you make that's important, not the object that provides the symbol for that.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
It is pizza. It was pizza. Mm-hmm.
I have food on my mind, Christian says.
Wheel of Fortune! Which is pretty much, I mean, that's what it's referring to. Absolutely. Hi, baby.
You know you have clothes in the washer.
And it's also important to remember in the oldest version of the contract, that card was called Rotomundi, which means wheel of the
And
world.
start that.
Words,
Yes, I do.
world turning.
And then should we get to my laundry?
Yes. I will be right back.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
MB's for the win. And yet, yes, I believe your name was Katerina. I am non-binary. If it helps helps anybody out, I'm technically a demigirl. I'm an androgynous demigirl, but that's a little bit too much specificity, and most people don't understand those words. So I just say I'm non-binary.
I understood the first part of it, but I don't know the second part of it. Sorry.
Demigirl means that I identify as partially feminine. I don't see myself as a girl or a woman entirely. My gender identity flows from being very agendered and not having agender expression at all to being extremely feminine at times, and that's the part of the spectrum that I identify with. I have, as many people have noted throughout my life, and it took me forever to understand, I have like none of the masculinity in me. It's not a part of who I am. Don't drop the spirit stick. Yeah. I have been in so many ritual circles where stuff like that, people take it way too seriously. Yeah, it's scribbles on dead trees. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Okay, I completely took that the wrong way. Okay. I thought she said subscribe. I'm so sorry. I took that I read that so wrong. Okay, then.
Take it.
But I think you did subscribe to my channel, so thank you. And thank you to anybody else who's subscribing. Appreciate that one.
And that's one thing that I can be a little too direct in some of my opinions, but you know, I that is not wrong. You're not wrong. And yeah, that would actually be a really good way of like understanding. Yeah. Because it confuses people. That's why this really confuses people. But this is basically my way of saying demigirl, because people don't know what that means. So either of these pronouns or any associated terminology, you can be gender neutral or you can be femme. I'm fine. So.
Okay. I have set a timer for my washer.
The hubby
still got to do mundane things.
Oh, the hubby got us one of those Japanese washing machines with all the songs, so we know exactly where it is because it sings at every stage along the way.
Oh, does it?
Oh, jeez. So, like each stage along the way, it sings a different song, so you know exactly where it is in the process all the way through. But it's just like He loves it, and power to him. He needs things that bring joy, but woo!
As long as it brings joy.
I want to see what card I get. Oh boy. Wow. Runaway cards.
So if a card like flips out,
Mhm.
like by itself, that is a card that you pay attention to.
Yep.
Oh. It was like 3 different cards.
You can either take that as a reading or you can just shuffle it back into the deck.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I got
Page of Swords. Woo.
That
Sword.
could not be more appropriate for all of the anxiety that you were talking about. Because I see
You're talking about anxiety. Yeah.
I see the Page of Swords as like the embodiment of anxiety. I mean, just look at the look on his poor face. He's just like, I have my sword. Ah! I don't remember how to hold it. Ah!
I don't know how to hold it.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I have it.
it's so cool had these little there's little birds here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the sword,
Clouds right there.
so the sword cards are the cards of air or rationale, reason, thought,
Intellect.
intellect. And so the pages, depending on, now this is very much an ecumenical matter what these face cards mean. In tarot, there's quite a bit of debate on what the face cards mean. But for the pages, generally to me, the page is younger. He is usually much more inexperienced. And so the way I learned to read tarot is not so much through rote memorization, but through association. Mm-hmm. So what does intellectual or thought inexperience mean to you with the question that you just asked? So you just asked, what is going on with my work? So it's just saying there's an inexperience or a
you are a student.
Right.
Intellectually. So what does that mean to you?
Wait. I'm a newbie at writing.
That's a very straightforward way to read it. I mean,
newbie at writing, newbie at something I did better this year that I didn't do good last year was you know how on the nano site says words needed for today. Well, I haven't been going by that. I've been going by the little the big chart thing, the overall progress thing. That's what I've been going by. And I think maybe that's why I've gotten to 28, almost 29,000 words.
Which you need to acknowledge as a huge achievement, like in it itself.
And it's day 20.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a really good thing. Remember, Stephen King, who puts out like 5 books a year and is like just an insanely prolific writer, he writes 2,000 words a day and stops. That's his daily routine. He writes 2,000 words a day and stops. You're getting, if you're doing half a Stephen King or a full Stephen King. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start looking at that, like when I started looking at my math, my daily goals that way, it just kind of changed my thought process, because whether you like his writing or not, you can't but see him as a prolific writer. I mean, He has so many books come out that he has to use pseudonyms so he doesn't flood the market on his own name. It's not because he wants to use them or for market confusion. People would buy them anyway. But just because so many comes out, it would just be like, oh, and another Stephen King comes out. So many.
Oh, so he uses another name?
He
Sometimes?
writes under, I think, 5 pen names.
Ah!
Yeah, he has most of which are known and most of which are for other, some of which are for other genres and some are just for other series that he does. But yeah, he writes under, I think, 5 pen names, but he only does 2,000 words a day. And that's what you have to realize. Nano, just to do Nano, you have to write more than a Stephen King a day. Because if he writes 2,000 words a day and you have to write 1,667 words a day to do Nano, you have to write more than Stephen King for a month. So that should give you an idea of like, this is not an easy task to do. Do you see what I'm trying to say, Nikki?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Whew.
you've written a lot. That's a really good thing to.
I'm stumbling over my words. That's what I'm doing. Okay. And I'm reveling it this year. I got 10,000 words last Nano. That was only in November. I got 10,000 words. And I started back up again in September. And I was writing I've been writing from September till now. Almost every day.
Nice.
So it's like getting 28,000. Like, wow, cool.
So
I look at my word count. I'm like, oh, but I should get that much. But then happy that I got that much, but still looking at my work. I'm like, I really want to hit 50,000 by end of November. That's in like 11 days. Yeah, sure.
I'm going to say, first of all, this is something that I want writers to stop doing. Stop doubting yourselves. Don't put pressure on yourself. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself. Like, I have to. No, you don't have to do nothing. Unless you're working for an editor with a specific deadline, time is of your own accord. You can get where you need to go. But this doubt that we put on ourselves of, yeah, sure, I can do that. When I stopped paying attention to what I was doing in July. Like July, I was just like, I don't care. Blah. I'm just going to just write. I'm going to have fun. I'm just going to do stuff. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Then Kate Kavanaugh did her, hey, I'm thinking of doing a wordy video. And I was like, I wonder if that's possible. And I went back and counted up all the words I wrote in July and went, oh, I wrote 98,000 words. Wait, what? I did what? Like, I'm somebody who generally struggles with Nano, right? Getting 50K. But I got more because you never know what you're capable of. We limit ourselves in everything that we do by putting these artificial caps in our head. So, yeah, you might not hit 50K. You might hit a lot higher than that. You never know. Words could just start flowing.
That's probably what it is, too. Is some days ahead, days were like, yes, I've been 2 chapters or 3 chapters. I'm like, yay, cool. I got that much done today. Where the words just were flowing. Ooh.
That's why I find it so much easier to concentrate on story and scene than to concentrate on word count. Because if I finish the scene, I almost invariably reach the word count that they recommend.
Yep.
So that's
because I'm probably going to start talking about this more on my channel. I've got some videos planned to actually talk about this, but I think a lot of writers, especially in AuthorTube, need to start asking themselves, are you seeing this as a hobby or as a business? And the reason for that is I think a lot of hobbyist writers have adopted a business mindset. Like, they don't want to make a living as a writer. They don't want to, like, that's not part of their goals. They just want to tell their stories and get their stories out. But they have adopted a business mindset. For someone like me, this is how I make my money. I sell books, I do podcasts, I do this, that, and the other thing, right? I do creative work for me. That's how I make a living. So that's how I think about it. If that's not you, you don't have to adopt these ideas. You need to, like, a lot of the writers that we watch, especially on AuthorTube, have decided to have their own creative businesses. Writing as a creative entrepreneur and writing as a writer are two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be very clear on what our goals are.
Yep.
Going
And in the beginning, when I did Nano, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna see how much I can do during Nano. I did a little over 11,000 words since September, because I started coming to your stream in September, I think, the beginning of September. So I finally found my thing, finally found my story, because my stupid computer crashed on me and I lost everything. And I thought I lost everything, but I realized I only lost a chapter and a half. So that was kind of like, I don't know if I want to do Nano. And then I found it all. And then I was like, you know what? Everyone says that you can be a Nano Rebel. I'm starting now. And it's September 1st, and I'm going to do it anyway.
So, Katerina, you mentioned what kind of energy you infuse into something.
This comment?
Yeah, that one. This is a big topic.
Yeah.
This is a really monstrous topic.
Yes.
Because this is where you start to move away from divination and start working into spell work. And if that is a direction that you want to go, like doing a morning ritual or something like that, like drop me a line on drop me a line on Discord, and we can work something out.
Mm-hmm.
Because ritual and ceremony are really very different things when we're dealing with something like divination, because they can be used in those settings,
but they're not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive. But I would say, first of all, I don't know what tradition you are coming from, and the reason I keep going back to that is, at least from the way I tend to see the world is what it is. We apply different names and labels to it. And so that's what the tradition is what programming language should I be talking to you in? Because some of us work better off of different languages than others. The reason I come from a very Judeo-Christian Kabbalistic perspective is that's my Yishta Devata. That's the face I saw before, the face of God I saw before I was born. That is how my programming works. Other people have different ways of working. That's the first thing that you need to learn. And this is, if you don't know that word, because I just realized I used the term of art, Yishta Devata means the wished for deity. It is the path that your heart calls out for. In Hindu belief, it's the last face you see before you're born, is the face of the god you will worship in that life. And that's your Yidam or your Ishta Devata.
How does someone even remember that?
No, it's it's something that you feel. It's something that you find from your own discernment. Some people connect really strongly to, say, the Celtic legends and all of the gods and goddesses over there. I do. I pray to Brig. I pray to Brig almost every day because Brig is something that means a lot to me. But I also see Brig as a bit more than just a Celtic goddess. I have a lot more connections with her. The same with the Morgan. A lot of Celtic things really matter to me and mean a lot to me. And so that's part of my connection. You need to find your language. I always start there. What language do you need to be talking in? Because one, there's the mythological terms, and then there's the ritualistic ceremonial terms. And while we're often saying the exact same things, our words are very different.
For instance, I am a chaos witch, right? So my paradigm is quite different than, say, my fellow chaots, let alone like someone as hermetic as Charlie, right? So I am of the mind where, how do I put this? Where Charlie might go into the woods and set up an altar on a tree stump and have gifts and offerings for the Fae and all of that stuff. And I'm the one throwing apples into the darkness saying, get the fuck out. like they're a fun party, don't get me wrong, but they do not need to be in my life.
And because that's why I wanted to bring that up, because when you're talking about what energy do you infuse, that chaos of the Fae, like specifically, that's something that I have lived with my entire life. That's kind of how I flow. If anybody has watched my streams, you notice that like I have a bunch of projects going at a time, because that's how my creativity, that's how my life flows, is, oh, I'm going to do this now. Oh, I'm going to do this now. And that works for me to get things done. And so embracing those energies and learning to work with them helps me in life. If those are antithetical to who you are, which it sounds like they are to Sako in some ways there, right? That like, just like that Fae energy is a thing. And if it's not something that you want in your life, you need to learn what it is and what it's called in your tradition, and learn how to ward it off and keep it away from you.
And so the idea of following a tradition is also a very interesting thought. Like green witches and cottage witches are often chaos witches in disguise. They just don't realize like what the terminology is like. They don't understand that there is actually like a science to what they are doing. They just they do what is good for them.
Yep.
Right? So there is a lexicon. So chaos magic has like leftover, it claims to not have dogma. However, comma, there is leftover dogma. Like there is definitely leftover dogma from, the hermetic side. Absolutely. From Crowley for sure. Now, I don't go as far back as that. I'm not, me and Alistair, there are a few things that we don't really, agree with.
Yeah. Oh, I truly believe he was Jack the Ripper. I think I can prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that he was Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
During all of the killings, he was doing the rite of Abramelin, which requires the internal organs of women during the time of the Jack the Ripper murders. And he was in London when each murder happened. The organs that were removed and the parts were removed are the parts that were required for the rite of Abramelin.
Hi, Jules.
I'm just saying, it lines up.
Hi, Heather.
Hi. And he said that he performed all of the rites, which means he had all of the human body parts. He claimed to have had all the human body parts. But then the golden rule about Aleister Crowley is Aleister Crowley lies. So...
Thank you.
Cough, cough.
He was a showman first.
So what chaos magic is the tradition that if it feels good,
First name basis.
First name basis fancy. Aleister Crowley.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, Kat.
Crowley, did you think you were pure? I'm just saying, look at the dates, look at the times. I have strong feels about this.
Yeah, apparently you do. And I'm not one to dispute those.
Sorry, excuse me.
You could be right.
And it's a theory that we can't prove one way or the other because there's not enough evidence one way or the other. But he's a name that never gets brought up, though he fits all of the markers. Anyway.
Hi, Nikki.
I feel bad because some of it I'm like, okay. Yeah. I don't know what the heck they're talking about, but okay.
So there are several like traditions in magic, right? There's Wicca.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Hermetics like Charlie. Yeah. There's Chaos Witches. There's
the Hermetics like Chip and Tabby Cicero, who currently run the Golden Dawn in the United States, who are very interesting people.
For those who make their own paradigm, like myself, yep. I make my own paradigm. So there is not a specific tradition that that really like resonates with me. Instead, I kind of like pick and choose from other cultures, from other traditions, and figure out what works for me. Because what works for me doesn't necessarily work for you. What works for you may not necessarily work for me. And the reason why I moved away from Wicca is because once it is done that way, it is always done that way. And if you don't mess it up, because it'll ruin everything and it'll blow up in your face and et cetera, et cetera. And as opposed to my paradigm where if it flops, it flopped.
I just blinded myself with my own card. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I just blinded myself with my own card. I was like doing this.
Oh, and the light just
went down over here, and I was just like, I'm gonna just I'm just gonna pick a good card and fiddle with it, and then wait till they're done talking so I can show the card, and then all of a sudden, I blinded myself in the eye.
But that's why I kept using the term programming language or coding language for tradition, because that's what Sako is talking about here, is finding the code with which she accesses spirit, or whatever word she prefers to use. And that's what it's about. Is finding what words, what images, what legendarium, which is not required, by the way, actually connects you. Would you rather I did the Cradle of Filth version? I could have done that one. That was actually the one that was going through my head, was Cradle of Filth's version of Mr. Crowley.
All right, so this is my deck.
Hold on, let me do the little magic thingy.
Yep.
That's pretty.
For instance, my 3 of coins is my seamstress.
Oh, that is so pretty.
And it has to do with the Promethean, right? Which is not a classic imagery for the 3 of coins, like at all. But that's how I think of it. The King of Cups is technically my late brother, because that was his personality, like both by benefit and by no detriment. That's the King of Cups.
Oh wait, I can do this. Why didn't I do that before? Oh my god, I'm a dork.
You're a dork.
That's what I should have been doing before. So we would still see everybody's face, but whoever's talking can be on the bigger picture.
Let me see if I can find one of my major arcana. Oh, here's a good example. My devil card, as it were.
Ooh, that's creepy. That's so cool, though.
It's extremely personal, extremely autobiographical. And so the idea of the devil is a very complicated card. It's very, especially for me, holy crap. And like, how close are we to our demons? Like,
Oh, cool. That's a cool way.
my Wheel of Fortune. So the tattoos show like clouds and snakes, which are the messengers of heaven of Benzaiten, who is a luck goddess in Shinto mythology. For anyone interested, where can we purchase or find these cards? On makeplayingcards.com, you would look for the Light Eaters Tarot. If you Google it, the link will come up. The Light Eaters Tarot. It comes in a white box, does not come with a book. My equivalent to judgment, which is karma.
That's so cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a poignant one, the Chariot with JFK.
Yay! Oh my god, you want to see something funny? Or not cool. I think it's cool. I was just playing around with my cards.
The Chariot reversed.
The Chariot, but reversed.
Taking risks. And it not necessarily working out.
Ooh.
So on the Autobahn, right, there is technically no speed limit, right? You can go as fast as your car goes. The way the driving laws work, it allows for people to get to where they're going fast. Now, the upside is you're going to get to where you're going fast. Absolutely. The downside is if you slip just a little bit. I mean, they call the ambulance the meat wagon in Germany for a reason.
Yep.
So
the one thing,
be aware of the risks you're taking. Just be aware of the stakes that are at hand. What have you to lose?
that's a good point. Nothing, really. Just losing Nano. But is that really... do I really care about that? In the beginning, I kind of didn't. And now I'm like, oh, I got my workout, so I'm getting it. And now I don't. Now I'm like, my brain's going to like, I want to win. Why am I not getting it? And that my brain's doing that to me, but my heart's like, and so you got the 28. You got the 28,000 in 4 months.
Card that I wanted to show you.
Because I did November, and I went back in September, October, and now I'm doing November again. So I got 28,000 words in 4 months.
Because one of the things I wanted to bring up when I was searching through my deck for the card, when Sako pulled out Karma, which is Judgment in her deck, in my deck, you can see this is...
That is the traditional imagery that you get.
If you notice the difference here, in the actual judgment is the apocalypsos. It is the unveiling. So if you actually look, the light is actually shining through. the clouds are being pushed away and the light is coming through. And according to your interpretation, are they dancing? Are they freaking out? What are they doing? This is Jeremiah. Jeremiah is not only the archangel of judgment, his name literally means the praise of God, the one who praises. It's somebody who is sitting there literally singing the praise, playing the music of praise, actually destroying things or telling you the way things actually are. That's where tradition and what your connection to the legendarium of the card set, where it matters, is understanding the meanings deeper than just the images. Because in my mind, he looks panicked. She looks almost like she's like,
in throes of passion.
Yeah, she is very, very much into the spirit of what's happening. And learning to see that and having that personal connection with it is where when we were talking earlier about how to pick a deck, that's what I love about the imagery on here is like, I just find it so beautiful. And this is the moon with the angel casting the stars down, which could be
exactly.
I find it so powerful for me. Like,
whereas my moon card is a lot darker.
Yeah. And so, like, for this one, this would normally be the world in most decks. In this deck, it is the Shekhinah. It is the presence of God, the female embodiment of God, who is the world, who is standing inside the eclipsos, which is the two circles that are intertwining, and is surrounded by the four holy animals of the four directions. So we have the human, the eagle, the lion, and the bull, which are the elements and the directions and everything about the world. And you see that she is holding in her hand the two sides of life, strength, or gevura, in one hand, and chesed, or compassion, in the other, because that's the balance of life. On her head, she wears keter, the crown, and we see her completely unadorned, because that is what the world is it is standing before us, just naked and unafraid. And it's our shame writ on it that makes us want to clothe it and hide it and keep us from seeing what it really is.
Whereas my world is my husband.
That's really cool looking.
So in the background, it's kind of hard to see here on screen, but those are what I call Pictish puppies. They are Pictish dogs that are looped and have the tail in front of them in their mouths. And once upon a time ago, I was, when I was a small child, my mother would make medieval garb for me for SEA events because I'm a second generation dork. And
sorry.
And she made a tunic for me that she embroidered Pictish dogs on. And
what's a tunic?
What's a tunic? A tunic is a T-shaped garment. So like a T-shirt. A T-shirt would be considered a tunic.
Yeah, T-shirt's a short tunic. Most tunics would go down to the knee or longer. But the important thing is that when it's made, it looks like a T.
Yep.
So it could be as long as like a full length dress. But what makes it a tunic is that it's basically straight down. It's a tube that you stand in with tubes that come out the side that your herbs go in, and it makes it.
Yeah. I gotta check on my laundry. So
what were on them?
Pictish dogs.
What's that?
The Picts were borderline Celts, And how do I put this concisely? I don't know.
Or precision, the hardest part of any description. They were one of the first people in the British Isles.
Right. And so I was a Pict when I was very young. Well, that was my persona, right? And as I grew up, I grew out of the tunic. My mom would cut, like they did in the Middle Ages, they cut out the tunic, the neck, which is where she embroidered it, and used it as trim. So I have a tunic to this day that has the Pictish puppies around the neck, because it is something that followed me through my entire life. And it's something that I grew into, and it's something that I made part of my identity.
Nikki, I shared a simple image of a Pictish dog so that you get an idea what they look like.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah, with the very wavy lines. This is a very simple, but you've seen like dancing in circles and
yeah,
kind of
mine are
knots.
Yeah,
but it's actually what a lot of people think of when they think of Celtic work is stuff like this, the animals that have all of the lines and the curls and the curves in them. But
Cool.
that's not that might help you if you had at least an image. So imagine those like doing all
Yeah, sometimes I need that for my brain.
so these are borderline things, like reasons for living, right? They have become part of my identity. They have become part of my being, and the world is everything that you have ever wanted or ever needed that is finally being bestowed upon you.
Well, that's beautiful.
Right.
I love hearing the story there, and thank you for sharing. It's a very personal story, and thank you for sharing.
But you saw Charlie's version of the moon, right? With the stars sprinkling from the crescent moon, and the woman kind of like lounging in the crescent. Yeah, that one.
That's cool.
Right.
And then Sako's.
And then Sako's.
There we go.
So I have an androgynous figure, mysterious and unadorned, as it were, who summons the harvest moon, but recognizes all the phases. And they give a warning. And there is astounding levels of intuition that need to be followed.
Oh, cool. So I was gonna show this.
Yep. There's your world.
This is my Wheel of Fortune card.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier, and I just wanted to show mine.
Yeah, and this is also where learning, like if you really get into this, the history of it, what you're seeing on that card is the Rota Fortuna, the actual literal wheel of fortune, where you see the person being crushed underneath it. You see the king, the pharaoh up on top. You see the elemental signs of the motion of life around the edges of the wheel. That's very much the medieval idea of the wheel of fortune, and a combination of Hebrew letters. So It actually says tarot on the 4 cardinal points. So the top you see TAROT, back to the beginning. It says tarot around. The other 4 characters that are around are the Hebrew letters of the name of God, the Tetragrammaton. So that is the Yod He Vav He, which is the unpronounceable name of God. Though some people have theorized on a way to pronounce it, but the whole point of it is God is unknowable. So not pronouncing it is important to the tradition. Is that God is unknowable? God is something beyond our comprehension, and so allowing ourselves to pretend we know what God is problematic. So the name is never written with the vowel signs, so that it is technically not pronounceable. And that's the other word you see around there. So you see both the name of God and the word tarot, and they're written actually in opposite directions. So one is spinning one way and one is spinning the other, because
one brings and one, vanishes.
Yeah, I didn't know how into that we wanted to get in this. But you notice on mine is very much the wheel of the world. This is the Rota Mundi, which is very simple. It is the world. You see fortune being cast onto the wheel in one side, game of chances played in the other, and notice that the coins are rusting at the bottom. That's very much the wheel of the world, which is that much more of a watch out so the world doesn't grind you down kind of an image than the hey, the world just throws things at you. And so that's that where legendariums become important. Because
hold on 1 second, I'm gonna get my light, my little desk light.
one thing that you will notice is the more you get into these things is that everything is about world building. Oh, that is so pretty. I love this deck.
This is my Uber Shadow deck.
I love that. That is. And this right here that's going on is something that needs to happen much more often.
That's why I keep saying you should come on.
Yeah, I need to work my schedule out, because I get really frustrated when I see people of different backgrounds and traditions arguing with each other, or I'm right and you're wrong, or there's one true way. There's not one true way to do anything.
There's no one true way, and that's what drives me nuts about Wiccans. Like that.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
The one true way, and there's no one true way.
It's because it's the one thing that, to me, often differentiates people that identify, that come to you and say, hello, I'm a witch, and people that say, hello, I am Wiccan.
And there's a difference.
There are people that practice Wicca who identify as witches and see that we all have our own path. And then, because there are fundamentalists on every path. I think that's so important to say. Even paths that shouldn't have them, consciously built. Chaos magic should not be able, like you were saying earlier, it's supposed to have no dogma whatsoever.
And
but they do exist. There are fundamentalists out there in every tradition, especially mine. Mine's the worst. I will say that's one of the reasons why I don't like saying.
I wasn't gonna say it, but
mine is my tradition is the worst because it has this pseudo-intellectualism that has been put on top of it because, well, don't you know?
Only men are capable of magic, and
and don't you know all of the great men throughout history who have practiced in our tradition, which makes us even greater because you wouldn't have modern science if it wasn't for Hermetic people. And no. The only way that even remotely becomes true is that was a place where they were talking with each other about other things. It's not the tradition that did it.
It's not the tradition that did it.
If I can bring one thing into the universe, I just want it to be this large neon sign that one day I'm just going to have behind me and everything that I do that says, just get over yourself. Just get over yourself, people.
Kat says, Sako, I love Sako, your deck is amazing.
Thank you. So this is my tower.
It makes me want to cry. Oh, I love that.
That's your what? What is that?
This is the tower.
Hmm.
So, when I was 13, I was assaulted and I was cut. I was sexually assaulted. And I went back to my house and I took a shower and I became hypnotized by my blood running down the drain.
That's too relatable.
So the tower is a card that signifies, like, what does catastrophe mean to you? Like, what is the worst possible thing that could possibly happen? And there is, just like with the death card, this is like the lowest point before things start getting good. Right? Like, how do I put this? There is an aspect of resurrection that happens after the the Tower of Babel is why they call it the tower, right?
Yep.
Is the Tower of Babel was struck, got too high, was struck by lightning, tumbled to the ground. It was terrible, killed a lot of people. You can imagine how many modern tarot decks used the two towers as their tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
So when making your own deck, and this is the borderline, it's a tarot deck, it is, but it's so autobiographical that it might as well be an oracle deck, right? So without the book, people don't understand like what is behind it and what the card actually means. Like, this too shall pass is what that card now means to me. This too shall pass.
That's actually one of the cards when we were talking earlier about how to pick a deck that I look at to see what the imagery on the card is and whether or not I connect with the deck or not.
What is the conflict? What is the catastrophe?
Because this is the card for my deck. This is the tower in my deck, which on face value, oh, look, it's an angel with a flaming sword about to strike a tower. And you see doom, you see gloom, you see judgment. And then you see, oh, wait. And then you look at the colors and you recognize, oh, wait, that's the angel with the flaming sword. That's Barakiel. Barakiel is the angel of blessing. Barakiel is the angel that carries our prayers to the throne. When you're desperate, when everything seems lost and you're crying out to the heavens, please help me. Barakiel is the angel that collects your tears and brings them before the universe to try to get relief for you. So all seems terrible, all seems lost. You see the tower and they're prepared for battle. They're prepared for war. The world, look how dead and cold the world is. Only a few trees on this gray, dead land.
Mm-hmm.
There's the angel of blessing with a burning sword, face filled with sorrow. What's that sword going to bring down? Is it going to be healing? Is it going to be destruction? What is the sword going to bring down? That's to me, when I saw that spoke so strongly to me, because those tower moments when everything shakes, that's your moment of decision. Is that flaming sword going to burn the tower? Is it defending the tower? What is that flaming sword doing? Because Barakiel is the angel that was stationed outside of Eden when Adam and Eve ate from the apple of the knowledge of life and death, when they learned to look at the opposites rather than the union and cast themselves out. He's not there to keep them from getting back in. That's just where he stands. That's just where he is. So what is his sword going to bring down? And when I saw that image, that's when I connected to this. Because blessings can be wonderful, glorious, amazing things. They can also be tragedies. Like some of the best things that have happened in my life were born from really terrible things.
Gotta
Lindsay.
have the bad days before you can appreciate the good.
You don't mind me talking about what happened? It kind of reminds me of Lindsay over here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put the little light on? It's kind of dark in here. That what you're talking about, Charlie, reminds me, and Sako, reminds me of what happened to Lindsay. One day, her mom met this guy. It was her boyfriend or whatever, and they wanted to take a trip for bike week down to Florida, down at Daytona Beach. Down at Daytona Beach, and took. There was one night where they took Lindsay, and it was her mom, the mom's boyfriend, and the mom's boyfriend's friend. So the boyfriend and her mom were on the bike. Were on a motorcycle. Her mom wasn't wearing a helmet, and Lindsay and the boyfriend's best friend were in the car behind them. The boyfriend said, "Don't tail my ass. Don't tail me. I want you far enough away from me. Don't," warned him. And they didn't have a helmet for her mom. But the boyfriend had a helmet.
Oh.
Something happened. I don't know what happened. Something happened where the front of the car hit the back of the bike, and her mom fell off the bike and hit her head and ended up in a coma. I think they put her in that coma to heal her. They put her in that coma to heal her, and it didn't work. And she ended up passing away like 2 months later.
Oof.
And that day, I got a text from her. "My mom's been in an accident. I don't know what to do. I'm here alone. I'm here with the boyfriend and the best friend, and they're not very nice. They're being nasty. I don't know what to do." So I handed the phone to Mom, and I said, "Mom, something's wrong with Lindsay. Something's happened with her mom. Here, look at the text message." So Mom called Lindsay, and then she's like, "All right, I'll get Dad. I'll get Dad, and I'll get Dad on the flight. He's gonna come pick you up. Don't worry." So that day was spent with mommy talking to the airport idiots, saying, "My husband's coming to the airport. I have to find the first flight to Florida, where she was. We have to find her. She's a scared little girl. She's alone with a bunch of idiots, and I have to find her a flight." And the person gave her a hard time about it. Wasn't understanding, so she was like about to yell at the lady, and then, but he was able to finally get on the flight, and he got to her. And thank God he got to her when he got to her, because there was a social worker there, and the social worker, from what I'm understanding, was about to take her
Mm.
because she called her family in the middle of the night. Nobody picked up, from what I know. And Lulu, Lulu told me they didn't do anything, and whole crap with her family. So that's how we got Lindsay.
Oh, yes.
So it's like a blessing that happened. Like a blessing that happened during a tragedy. That's what that reminds me of. Is like there was something good. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. There's something good that happened out of something bad. So, yeah.
Yeah. It Thank you for sharing that. That's wow. Yes, Cliff Tinifer, we are still discussing definition and such, and various things. Whew, that's. Mm.
And don't get me started on her family, because her family is a bunch of. I mean, her aunt called her on her birthday one year, asking about what happened to her mom. She knows damn well what happened to her sister, to Lindsay's mom. Made nice small talk, and then all of a sudden was asking her. And Lindsay, I can hear Lindsay in here. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, and I was in there, and I was like, Lindsay, hang up the phone.
Yeah.
Tell her, if you do not stop talking to me about this, I'm hanging up. And she told her that, and she hung up. And my mom and mommy gave her a piece of her mind.
Yeah, it was Christina. that's a powerful. Yeah, we had there's a couple people I talk about as like my almost brother and stuff, and yeah, very similar stories. Like
Thank you. Somebody in the comments said sending love.
Yeah,
There's a heavy story. And
I
didn't mean to bring anything down, but I just thought I thought it was cool to say, here's something bad, here's something good that happened out of something bad.
Okay, so in talking about.
Oh, and I did have a question.
Okay.
So I have. Hold on. I have this, and it tells you on the bottom what the card is.
Yes.
Right. But this one, hold on me. This one doesn't.
It has a 5 at the top.
Yep.
And there are 5 swords on the picture.
Oh, okay. It's hard for me to know. I don't know ramen.
Roman
numerals. It's noodles. Numerals. Oh my god. Noodle numbers. Yeah. Noodle numbers for the noodle head. If you don't know, that's my nickname. Everybody calls me Nikki Noodle. Because I still love ramen noodles, but I had a point where I would eat them almost all the time. So my nickname was Nikki Noodle.
So I want to say something right now. You said I'm sorry if I brought things down, and I should have pulled 4 of the same card, but I didn't. But in my tradition, we believe that life is a spiral dance between 4 paths. Let's see. There we are. So it's from the path of the Via Positiva, which is acceptance and belonging, compassion, humility. All of most of what people talk about when they talk about spirituality is on the first path, in the via positiva, the path of bliss. The second is the path of silence, or the via negativa, the path of letting go, of death, of pain, of sorrow. The third is the path of creativity, which is where we have the courage to ride all of the energies that are in us into reality, that we give birth to that which is in us wanting to come out into the world. And the path of the via transformativa, the path of transformation, justice, and celebration. That every aspect of life has these four aspects to it. They are all equal. They are all a part of who we are. To deny one aspect is to deny all of the others. So we, throughout this discussion, throughout this stream, have gone from the joy and celebration of the via transformativa. We've talked about the creativity and how that can happen. We have talked about how you bring everything together and find your place in the world. And we have talked about our sorrows and our pains. Those are all equally valid and important parts of life.
Mm-hmm.
And you should not apologize because you have gone from one to the other. The goal is to remember that it is a dance. It is a move. We hop. We don't progress one to the other. They aren't stages. We don't go from here to here, from here to here. We hop around. We're here, we're there, we're the other place. We're all over the map. It is a dance that we do. So don't minimize when you have to bring those shadows in. They are there. They are a true part of life. And that's something that, whether it's in this kind of a thing, or if you're back over here in tarot talks about this a lot, that you'll notice that every card has meanings that could be, depending on what is going on, either a celebration or a sorrow, or something trying to come into being, or something that needs to be let go of. All of these meanings are there. They are a part of who we are. They are a part of life. So don't ever feel sorrowful. Don't ever feel bad about bringing those forward. Sometimes they need to be aired. Sometimes they just need to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
Because shared grief is something we do not do as a society as much as we need to. That's where a lot of healing comes from. Sometimes we have to heal alone, and sometimes we have to heal together.
Yeah.
And that's something that I aim for with my stream, is we do a lot of shadow work. And maybe that's not what they call it. We call it like the psychotherapy hour, but it's shadow work. And I want to make it clear that my stream is a safe place for everyone. So if you are haunted by ghosts, right? If you are
real or metaphorical,
just like, drop me a line and I'm sure we can talk.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Like, I still, like, she says she has survivor's guilt. And
survivor's guilt is hard. It's very hard.
I am one of the last surviving members of my friend circle from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And various things picked us off over the years. Various things that I took part in. Like, I've not been secret about this. I used to have a drug problem. I used to do a lot of very dangerous and stupid things. And over the years, most of the people that I grew up with have been picked off through one thing or another, and they're gone. And yeah, there's some part of me that's like, could I have helped? Could I have done something? Like, I will never remember the night that, Seth died. I just will never forget that. It's not my fault that I am still here. It's no one's fault that they're still alive. Like that guilt, I feel it. I know what you're talking about, but you can't blame yourself for surviving. That's the basic biological urge built into you, is to survive, to push forward, to find a way to survive and thrive. And so much of life is about acceptance, learning to just accept, to let go and let be of our pasts, of the things that have been done to us, that we have done. You know, we can ask for forgiveness. We can seek to tell others how much they've hurt us. In the end, the biggest thing that we can do is learn to live with the lives that we have, because that's the life that we have.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it sounds so basic. It sounds so like, well, duh, but so much, especially like of like pop spirituality and whatnot that I see, especially on YouTube, is like, and here's how you can change your life in 10 easy steps by doing this meditation.
Manifestation.
Yes. Here, put this crystal in your house, and everything will be perfectly fine forever. Okay, so
no,
you can
because
invoke energy.
everybody deals with everything in different ways.
Yeah, it is possible to invoke energy.
Sometimes that does work for some people, but sometimes it doesn't work for some people. So some of those videos can work for one person, and the next person who watches it doesn't do crap.
Because the first step to everything is acceptance. Like that's why when, like at the beginning of this, when I said that, you know, I really firmly believe that everything that led me to the point I am at is fate. That's not because like a hand of destiny reached down and said, "Thou shalt be here." It's because I honestly, let's be clear with this. It's a way of freeing myself from the survivor's guilt, from the losses that I've had. Right? I was fated to be here. Why? I don't know. Is there a plan? I don't know. I may never know. Right?
So when I am not on meds, I suffer from suicidal depression. And I have lost count. I lost count after like 200 of how many times I've tried to kill myself. And I kept surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it just came to the point where I came to the conclusion that I'm immortal, basically, and that there is a reason why I'm on this earth. And of course, you gain wisdom through obstacles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
you still have a purpose. There's something still
unfinished.
Whether you believe in God or gods or the universe or whatever it is you believe in, when that happens to you and you're still here, there's a reason why you're still here. There must be something that you still haven't done yet that you need to get done. Right?
Yep.
Something to that effect.
Sorry, I keep scrunching up my nose. I don't mean to if it sounds like I'm what the heck is that? I'm not. I have this sounds gross, but I have dry boogers in my nose that are hurting my nose sometimes. So sorry, that was gross, but be honest.
I think we're all having a bit of a head thing today, so I think we can all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the reasons.
On a lighter note, Christina Poe says my nickname was Captain Wonder Bread Hall for the longest time because I was in the shower and my friend threw yeast, flour, eggs, salt, and cold water in the shower with me. Oh.
That's awful.
Wow. That. Oh.
God. Was that hard to get off?
I can only imagine.
Is that something hard to get off?
It would take some scrubbing. Because once you add the water to the flour, it wants to stick. It wants to stick really, really hard. Especially if it got into your hair.
You know, another thing that you said, Charlie, that I just realized our family always says to me, they're like, stop always apologizing for everything. Like, but I don't know when to say I'm sorry. When you sometimes I just say because I
Well, sometimes you mean that you give your condolences.
Yeah.
Which is different.
no, like I've said something and I say sorry for saying it this way or sorry for saying it that way. They're like,
There's no need to
you
apologize.
don't need to apologize. You
Express.
did nothing wrong. You're just saying how you feel or saying what's in your mind or saying your opinion. What are you apologizing for? There's nothing. What? What do you mean you're sorry? There's nothing to be sorry about.
I think especially women in our culture are taught to apologize way too much for every little action that they take.
There are
And
many dogmas that belittle women and believe that women are the fault of everything. They are at fault for, they take the blame for everything that goes wrong in the world. And that's where we apologize for merely existing. It is part of our upbringing. It is part of our societal upbringing.
and learning to get over that is one of the most important things that we can do. Because just to be overly personal for a minute, the reason it took me so long to figure out who I was because of my own internalized misogyny, that I'm not pretty enough to be femme, so that can't be part of my identity. And we internalize things that we don't know that we have inside us. I didn't know that was in there till somebody needled me, because they were just a very, very good friend of mine who knows how to use rage to get the best out of me. Needled me until I said those words out loud. And I just stopped cold. Oh my God. Oh no, that's not right at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's and that to me is one of the greatest things about having things like this in your life, is if you use them honestly, getting them to pull those things that you don't realize you're thinking out of your head.
And that's like the whole thing with my shadow deck, right? Is that it tells you very blatantly and very coldly and very violently what it is you need to hear.
Yep. And the more you get used to using a deck, the more you get used to doing readings for yourself, just to bring it full circle, the more you realize you are in communion with yourself, and that you are seeing some of your most inexpressible thoughts often coming out in the cards in front of you. And some of the best readings I've ever done for myself are the ones where I'm offended by the cards. I get literally mad and angry. How dare you? Today's going really, really well. Why? How can there be a tower of death, a judgment, and every bad card? Why is the Three of Hearts, Three of Swords, right in the middle of this thing? I don't deserve this. And then I realize, oh crap, I said I don't deserve this. Anybody deserves bad things. Uh-oh. Yeah. Maybe I got the reading not because of what the cards were trying to tell me, but they were trying to pull that thing out of me. So I realized, oh, I'm having one of those people get what they deserve, because, oh, thank God that's not true.
Also, hi, Mama Ward.
Yeah. She's a glorious friend of mine, and she knows my brain better than I do. We call her my secret Irish wife because we're really close. I don't know how to describe our relationship. We're closer than friends, we're closer than family. We have one of those relationships. You'll feel that disturbance in the force and suddenly be like, I'll be right back, I have to go call them. Because you just know something bad happened, even though we're 1,000 miles apart right now.
Isn't that weird when you have a friendship like that and the other person, you're feeling sad and you wouldn't even be talking to that person or texting that person or whatever, and all of a sudden they text you and they're like, "What is wrong?" They don't say anything else. They just say, "Hey, what's wrong?" What?
Yep.
What do you mean?
Those friends
And
are
they're like, "What's wrong?" And they won't shut up until you tell them what's wrong. And I had that. I had that with a guy friend that I used to have until he turned into a jerk. But after Jason passed away, I had this friend that was like that. When you were talking during, we wouldn't even be talking, and I get a text message. Right when I'm feeling sad, would get a text message from him. What's wrong? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, come on, what's wrong? And I'm still like, what are you talking about? And sometimes I don't even know it. Like I feel sad and I'm like, I don't really know. I don't know why. I didn't really. I guess because I was trying to stay strong.
which we do way too much.
And it's like, I guess part of me was trying to hide my, I guess my emotions or something. Or like how I was feeling or something. I don't really know what I was doing.
Emotions are really scary things for most people to actually face them on. And this is also one of those places where tarot is handy, because when you start looking at because your cup cards are your more emotional cards and your wand cards are your more passionate cards, and starting to weed through what is emotional and what is passion, what is the fire burning inside you, and what is that thing that either refreshes you or dampens you down. And learning to see differences and differentiations in there is such a powerful, liberating thing. And so something that, I don't think I would have had so much of in my life if I hadn't been doing the cards all these years. Because, I am a very passionate person. If people haven't noticed that about me, then hi, my name's Charlie. I have a channel on YouTube. But, I'm a very passionate person. And learning to understand what those fires are and what causes them to flare up, because I have a penchant for anger and rage, and learning to keep those in check. That's stuff that honestly I've worked through with the cards for the years, because I will see like, oh, that's actually where this is coming from. That water card is actually more of a gasoline card for me. When those feelings, when those emotions are coming in, they fuel that fire and make it just burn white hot, and start to see those aspects of your own soul. That's why, like we were saying earlier, yes, the correspondences that are assigned to the cards are important to kind of understand, but you will develop over time your understanding of what those cards mean to you. And that can change from reading to reading, but you will develop that relationship with them, that you understand, oh, for me, that's what that means.
Mhm.
Be very careful not to project that onto others, because what that card means for you, and then when you're doing a reading for someone else, that same meaning may not apply to them.
Right, exactly.
I gotta learn what each card means.
And it's going to change from deck to deck.
I really, 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 really want one of Jules. Oh my god, her name just right over my head just now. Want one of her decks. I mean, not her decks, but I mean, I want to get one of my own that looks like her decks. Those are so pretty.
I have added that to my wish list on the Amazon. It is so pretty. The cards are so pretty.
I don't know why. Oh,
what is it? It's the Shadow Light deck.
Oh, yeah.
You want to know something kind of cool about me and Lindsay's disability, spina bifida? For some reason, blue catches our eye.
Huh.
With people with spina bifida, blue catches your eye for some reason. I used to know why, but I can't remember why now. I've got to stop picking at my face. It's really getting on my nerves. That's why this is looking so much better, because I haven't been touching it. With the one over here, I've been touching, and then I have a new one over here. I've got
Get
this
yourself some
nerd.
corn with pain relief, because it will numb them. It will help them heal faster, and it will numb them so that you don't feel them and want to scratch at them.
I gotta ask my mom. I gotta ask mom and dad about that. Yeah, no, Lindsay just chimed in. She goes, "Our other favorite color is purple." Yeah, this was fun, and I really want to know more. I think I want to do another live stream and then do like a part 2 or something like that and really talk about like go through all like maybe all of it. Well,
Actually, there are on YouTube, there are tons of tutorials on each of the cards.
Yeah.
We can do that too. I can do that too.
YouTube University, man.
So yeah.
And there are some decent books that are out there. In fact, the deck that you have in your hand, Edward Waite actually wrote a book on tarot that goes along with that. That's available free online.
Yep, which I have.
Yeah, which goes through every card, why he picked the images, why they're in the order they're in, what they mean. So if you want to like dig into that deck in particular, the book that the actual book, because he wrote an actual book to go along with it.
Yeah,
it's available.
I had the little booklet.
No. He wrote an actual book.
Yeah,
book.
That doesn't. It's not sold with the deck usually.
Yeah, it's not sold with the deck usually. The deck usually has a very simplified version of it, but like if you want to like dig in, like for that deck in particular, and it's fascinating because he explains like I was looking at this deck and thought, well, this is those symbols that I wanted on the card, and why he picked the symbols, and like he goes through a lot of detail on why each card looks the way it does in that deck. And so you might it's not the most thrilling read. I think it's the most generous way to put it. It is
kind of like an educational read.
Yeah, it's
in a way.
Yeah, but it will explain to you exactly why every card looks the way it does. And as you're reading it, you can just have that card out next to you so you can see it. So when he's like,
a lot of the version of the book that I have actually has a copy of the card on one page and then the explanation on the other.
But if you don't want to spend any money, it is available free online. I think it's even in Project Gutenberg. Like if you go to his Wikipedia page or just look up Rider-Waite deck, I think they have a link to it even in Wiki Commons. Like
there are all kinds of like free like tarot journals and stuff that are designed to teach you how to do tarot.
Cool. And I just realized this. I think this is my first stream that we didn't do any sprints.
Yeah, it was a chat.
This
is more of a chatty stream. And then I realized another thing. My title up top doesn't go with the thumbnail that I made.
Oh, that's fun.
It's good. I also just want to put out there, if anybody is interested in the tradition that I follow, I do not take students anymore, though some people are really pushing to make me change that, and I don't know that that's going to be a thing. But there are a lot of like very bad hermetic groups that are out there.
There are bad witches all over the place.
So if you are interested in the path that I'm following and you want like my opinion about like a writer or a group that's out there putting out stuff, I've actually met a lot of these people. Like I know Chicken Tabby, like I've met them. Like I know a lot of these people from life. So I can help with that and help with discernment. Like I've actually met a lot of the writers that write in this tradition. I've I've talked to quite a few of them in
Sorry.
person. I correspond with quite a few of them regularly. I know who the really problematic ones are because they are out there and they exist. So I am not offering to teach anyone anything, at least not at the moment, but I will help you discern through things, at least tell you my opinions through experience with these people. Because that's the worst part of it, is getting in with a bad group. Because
Yeah, that's almost the way. That's almost like a rite of passage. Almost like
so many of the groups out there, and I think this is true, just whatever arcane tradition you're looking at, are just vending machines for the people that run them, where they're like, give us money and we will give you power kind of things. Like, they're almost like Scientology in a lot of ways. Like, pay for our courses. And you can't unlock your thing until we give you the secret thing that you get with your next course. Beware of any of that. A lot of this wisdom, a lot of this knowledge is publicly available. There are people that can help you find it. If somebody tells you that you have to give them $1,000 or you will never have like access to any of these secrets, they're lying to you.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but I was picking on Lindsay.
Yeah, you were.
I like making her laugh. It was funny. And have you guys ever seen the video? There's this video on YouTube, and it's of these two college girls. They're in class, and they're sitting next to each other, and then one girl goes, and then they stop and they kind of laugh and they go, well, they did it in a way that the kid behind them, they did that and he sneezed and they were like trying to hide the fact that they were dying laughing. You gotta, that's one video that if you're having a bad day or if you're feeling down or whatever, go find that video, please, because it's hysterical.
We need pick-me-ups.
It is hysterical. And I'm gonna go, you know what? After this, when we wrap up, I got your link, Charlie, to your stream for tonight.
Oh,
I think you did.
That's just a future. I'm gonna need to go in a minute to start getting ready for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we're just gonna wrap up now, if no one minds that. So that way, I can go to the restroom and you can get set up for your stream. I can get set up for joining you during dinner. What the heck was I trying to say? Oh, I was trying to say that when I come to your stream, I'll try to find that video, and since I have a wrench on your stream, on your thing, I'll put that in the.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And maybe like after a sprint, we can do like, hey, here's something funny. Here's your reward. Like, have one reward and watch the video.
Yeah, I will say, I think I'm going to start the stream today with a brief meditation like I've done a couple times, because I do like that. And I think I need to blow out some cobwebs from my head before I can be creative. So I think that's going to be a thing that we're going to do actually on the stream, because I think people got something out of that last time I did it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So, want to wrap up now?
Sure.
Howdy howlers. It's Sako Tumi, also known as Casvoit. I write horror, and I'm a witch, and I'm a graphic designer, and sometimes I combine those three things. So if you are looking to market yourself as an author, or you're looking to be a witchy or witch, please drop by my channel. I would love to see you.
Hello, my name is Charlie. I do streams on my channel every Wednesday and Friday. I'm also going to be streaming more on Twitch in the future. I'm going to be actually live streaming the recording of the podcasts and other stuff over there. I am C Dorset on Twitch if you want to start following me over there. Speaking of podcasts, I do a bunch of them. You can find links to everything that I do over at projectshadow.com. I would say follow me on social media, particularly Twitter's the best place for me to actually remember to put out links to what I'm doing because Instagram doesn't let you do links. So if you want to know exactly what I'm doing when, follow me on Twitter. See Dorset there as well. Anywho, I really liked this conversation, and I'm glad that you made this happen, Nikki. Thank you.
Yes. Even though sometimes I got a little lost and I didn't know what anybody was talking about, and I didn't know how
That's
to.
life.
I didn't know how to ask. Be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Sometimes I don't know how to word that.
Sometimes those exact words work. What are you talking about? I don't understand.
Oh, cool. How much did you get done, Maggie? I'm wondering how much you got done. I guess I can say my outro while we wait for Maggie. And thank you, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Charlie and Sako, for co-hosting with me. And this was pretty fun, even though we didn't do any sprints like I usually do. Hey, it's a chatty stream, and I didn't really realize it was going to be a chatty stream. It ended up being a chatty stream, and it ended up being cool. So there. And everybody learned. I hope you learned at least something.
I hope everybody learned something. Yeah.
At least one thing. And at least remembered one thing.
Like a lot of people got stuff out of this.
Yeah.
Because technically the stuff that we talked about today could have been in a class.
Mm-hmm. And when is my next? Oh, my next live stream is the 28th, I think. And it's going to be with Nicole. I forgot how to pronounce her last name.
Which Nicole?
I think she spells it Marcina.
Marcina.
Marcina? Yeah, it's going to be with her.
Ooh.
And all of my social media links are down below, or my channel, or in my channel, on my channel, whatever. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And please like and comment, subscribe to these two. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. All right. Bye, everybody.
That's one way to do it.
Oh, she's gone. All right. Bye.
Bye.
I'm a dum-dum. I did it again. I kicked us all out. I'm so sorry. I kicked us all out again. Instead of ending broadcast, I just X'd out of the thing. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry to Sako and Charlie, but yeah, that's the end of the stream. Thanks for joining me. Thanks to Sako and Charlie for joining me. Bye. I swear I will get better at this. Bye.